Hello and welcome to the Scouting Report here on LUTV as we look at Leeds United's next opponents, and they're up against another promotion contender in Middlesbrough up at the Riverside on Saturday afternoon. Former Leeds defender Ben Parker is here to run the rule over Tony Pulis' side. Ben, in what is a big game. It's always a big game in the Championship, especially for Leeds where we are in the table, particularly after last week's defeat against Norwich, isn't it?
It's about bouncing back, and any time we've had a setback this year, we've always bounced back in a positive way. And I expect us to go up there full of confidence. Why can't we be full of confidence? We're joint top of the table, best position we've been in years. So embrace the pressure, because yeah, of course there's going to be pressure, but there's pressure every game you play for this club, whether you're down at the bottom, mid-table, near the top. So it comes in terms of playing for Leeds United, but embrace it.
Well, we're going to look at some of Middlesbrough's strengths and their weaknesses as well, maybe areas that we can exploit at the weekend. But let's begin just by casting our eyes back on what was probably one of the dullest games of the season in many ways at Ellen Road, all the way back in August. This game had 0-0 written all over it, I think, after about 5-10 minutes, wasn't it, Ben? And it sums up the way that Borough approached it. They'll have been happy with the point, but just one of those matches, wasn't it? It
was, and I think the big aspect of what we came through this game was the way our back five kind of competed, the keeper, back four, and if we have that sort of performance from the guys who are going to be playing this weekend, it'll give us a great platform, because you know going up to the Riverside, you know when you go into Tony Pulis' team, you've got to be resolute, you've got to be strong, and if we can do that type of performance, probably throughout the whole team, it gives you a great platform to go build and get a result then.
Yeah, and it probably set the tone as well for Middlesbrough's season, didn't it? But their game last week kind of went against the grain a little bit, because they're involved in a 5-goal thriller at West Brom. Some interesting goals in this one, but they'll come into it. I know they were beaten, of course, in the FA Cup, which we'll talk about, but this was a great win for them, wasn't it?
I'm sure the fans didn't know what was going on here. A 5-goal thriller, not had too many in the recent times, but this is the problem Middlesbrough have got all year, because yeah, great result here. He touched upon the FA Cup win in the defeat midweek. So they're just finding that consistency, but at most teams trying to find that consistency throughout this year. But they've got the players that can hurt you. At this game, they were 2-1 down at West Brom, and you think when West Brom get in front, you think they're going to run away with it now, get the 3 points. But they made 2 great substitutions. Johnny Howson came on. This guy here, Son Malonga, getting the goals. Some great firepower to come off the bench there, and it just proves they've got a strong squad, full of talent. And it's going to be interesting to see what team lines up, because again, midweek they put a really strong team out against Newport. So this is obviously the one against West Brom, the 2 last starting lineups from both teams, and the majority of that team from Middlesbrough there, they played against Newport. Someone that came in, Johnny Howson came in, Clayton came into that team. It's a very strong team, is that? So it'll be interesting to see what they line up against. But flip on to ours, you wonder if that's going to be the team that's going to start up at the Riverside for us.
Yeah, that's something to discuss in just a second. But just with Middlesbrough, they did go strong at Newport. There was players in that team that would have felt they could win, but as we found out last year, Newport's not an easy place to go. But from Middlesbrough's point of view, the likes of John Obi and Mikel, Besic, of course, who were in the midfield, and they've been as we would have expected this season. Defensively resilient, and we'll look at the goals for and against for them in just a moment. But it's going to be interesting to see what Tony Pulis does with his team and how he plays it, because there is probably maybe a little bit of pressure on them at the Riverside to be more attacking, but I guess that's kind of the way they've played. I don't expect them to necessarily change against a good team like ourselves.
No, all, and the games I've seen just by TV, looking at clips of the highlights, especially at home, the fans kind of jump on the back, because they're expecting some decent football. They expect to be winning more games than they probably have done, and that creates uncertainty around the stadium. The players kind of know that going into the ground, they don't feel much of a good vibe, but on the day they can beat any team in the division, so that's the thing got to be wary of.
Does the defeat at Newport undo the good work at West Brom, or is that it's their cup match, they just put it to the back of their mind, or how do you think that'll affect them?
Normally I wouldn't say it should affect them, but because the team that they put out, they went strong down at Newport, the rest of the players for the home game, the FA Cup for Newport, so they've gone down there strong and got turned over quite comfortably in the end, 2-0. Suggests that they might have a hangover from that, but it's all about us. It's all about how can we prepare, how can we get last Saturday out of a system, learn from it, think about the mistakes we made, but we played well first half, we got in some good positions, and it's about the conversion rate. We've said it quite a number of times this year, we're getting to goal scoring positions, we can get that conversion rate a little bit higher.
Now, I'm not particularly interested in kind of styles of play, Ben, because we know there's some styles that are easier on the eye, with Middlesbrough this season, you know, you expect them to play a certain way, and you've got to give them credit for doing that. There's more than one way to win a game of football. But I thought Middlesbrough were one of the only teams this season to actually sort of inflict their game on us, particularly at Ellen Road, because it was a scrappy game. It was a set-piece kind of match. There wasn't a lot of free-flowing football, and we've been playing that at the time. So going up there, depending on what team Marcelo Bielsa picks, the tactical battle or the difference in styles is going to be an interesting one. There was a lot of hype about that before the game at Ellen Road. Yeah. So how do you think it's going to play out at the Riverside?
I think it's always easy to do it away from home, where they're set up. And like we just touched upon there, at Riverside, the fans might get on the back a little bit more because they expect to be on the front foot dictating games. So if they're set up like they did at Ellen Road, I think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot, Middlesbrough, because it's going to create not a great atmosphere for the players, for the home fans, and that will suit us. I think the message from our boys will be, can we keep them quiet for 20 minutes? Can we keep the crowd quiet? Can we try and get on the back? The longer the game goes on, whether it's 0-0 or we're 1-0 in front or whatever, don't give them anything. Don't give them anything easy to feed off, because they need that at the moment at the Riverside. But it's again, don't matter who kind of plays in either team. We know what Middlesbrough are going to set up like. They're going to be kind of more route one, kind of more dogged. Don't matter who plays in our team, because we know how we're going to set up. We're going to possession-based, attractive football. So the styles are always going to be the same, just no matter who's going to play in those games.
Now, we're filming before Marcelo Bielsa does his press conference. He might name his team as he did do last week. So you're either going to look very silly or very clever here, Ben. But what does he do with his team after last week's performance? I mean, obviously Calvin Phillips was a notable absentee. I don't think pre-match there were any quibbles with the team, but do you think he comes back into the thinking, and if so, what changes do you envisage at the Riverside, if any?
Yeah, like I said, it might get proven to be stupid here, but I'm going to go out on a whim, and I think Calvin's going to definitely start. 100% going to say, it was a big surprise probably for most people last week, but the three in midfield there, especially Forshaw, Click, they've earned the stripes. The performance they had done in recent weeks, you can say, yeah, we've got an argument to play them. But I just think we're more of a solid team, more kind of an all-round team with Calvin in there. So I think he'll definitely come in. But who for? Yeah, you don't really know. Do you think for Roberts might come in? Pablo might drop inside. Yeah, the options are there, but the good options at the moment. Patrick Bamford's obviously another case. Come on, score goals. The big question for him, can he last 90 minutes? So that's obviously down to Marcelo Bielsa, his staff, whether he knows can get enough out of him minutes-wise. But all of a sudden we've got players who are coming back. Barry Douglas as well, not mentioning him at left back. So all of a sudden we're looking really strong and squad-wise. So it's some good options for us to have.
Bamford against his former club, Forshaw against his former club. There's House and Clayton. There's quite a few connections, isn't there, between the two sides over the years. Quite a few deals that have gone down. Let's look at one of the key players we think in this Borough side. It's no surprise we probably picked out a defender here, Danny Ayala, who has been a mainstay in this Borough defence. They have played three centre-backs, likes of Ayala. Flint as well has been a good championship competitor, hasn't he, at Bristol before his move to Borough. But he's a key man, is he not, in the team and kind of marshalling the defence, organising?
What I like about him, just does the basics well. He's kind of gone out of the game as for a centre-half to do the basics, head it, kick it, throw your body on the line. Everyone likes the defenders now to get on the ball, run out of play, do some Maradonas on your halfway line or whatever. But for him, and he just picks a couple of clips here from the game at Ellen Road. He always finds himself in the right position. He's, like I say, first to a lot of stuff. Ball's trying to get pumped forward there, first to head it. And like I say, he just did the basics well. But the thing for us, don't play into his hands. I think we can exploit him by playing things in down the sides. When you go a bit long, that's where he likes. He likes a scrap, and you can see at times in this game, well, a lot of times to be honest, Tom, we got forced into doing that because Middlesbrough, like I said, stamped their authority and their style on us probably more than did them. But we're masters at learning from previous games and from previous setups of teams. So I fully expect to try and get him down by the sides of him because we've got clever players. Pablo Hernandez, Roof with his movement. Got the players who can capitalise on that.
Yeah, a couple of those clips he's said he's beating Sammy Shires in the air, which I don't think was probably his biggest challenge, but a bit of a needle as well, I think, with Ayala and Leeds as well in recent seasons. This is Middlesbrough's goal scoring record at home. Worth picking this out, one of the lowest goal scorers on home soil, and we always talk about promotion, you know, pretty much being decided by your home form. Your home form's so important, but it's just not really happened for Middlesbrough, and that's why you talked about maybe a little bit of unrest. You know, season ticket holders up at Middlesbrough, understandably, they've been coming all season. They'll be happy with the team's position in the table, but 14 goals at home, it's not a great return, is it? Especially considering the firepower they have in their squad.
Just below 50% of the goals have been scored from set piece. 3 set pieces, either corner, wide free kick, 3 penalties. Just goes to show how lack of goals, how lack of creativity they've been getting. I haven't seen all the games, I haven't seen all the 90 minutes at home, so I don't know whether they had a bit of misfortune, but the stats generally don't lie over the course of the season. And the goals that we've picked out here, this has obviously come from a penalty, and they kind of not play for stuff like this, but they're trying to force into set pieces, because you know from Pulis being at Stoke City mainly, the practice free kicks, corners religiously, and they've got some big lads.
Yeah.
They've got obviously Flint's up there, Ayala we touched upon as well. They've got people who can score goals, Shotton in the clip, Friend as well. So they've got players who can put a good ball into good areas. Ayala there with his goal here in this season. So it's down to our boys just to keep a high line, keep concentrated, stay with your man. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Well, this is the other end of the scale, Ben, and this is the reason that Middlesbrough are in the playoff positions, isn't it? Because only 9 goals conceded at home this season. So, you know, to score up at the Riverside is obviously a bit of a challenge because of how they're set up. And as we see there, kind of the breakdown of the goals, it's pretty split, isn't it? It's
pretty split, but 9 goals conceded at home is a great record. A lot of teams will be proud of that throughout the division. And that's why probably the main reason, like you said, they are up in the playoff positions, because, yeah, they don't score many, but on the flip side, they don't concede many. But as we touched on earlier, from our point of view, we get into great scoring positions. We do every game. It's about converting them. And these goals that they have conceded, you could easily be watching a replay from Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock kickoff when we're playing up there, because win the ball back, can you counter? Once you get the position, can you finish? That'll be the key for us, because this could easily quite pan out. Because like I say, we're a high pressing team. We're getting to good positions, and like I say, could easily be our situation here. Try to close them down. We've won the ball back high. Can we deliver? Yeah. Can we get people in the box? Yeah. Can we finish? That's going to be the question mark going into Saturday, because we're going to have times where we're in around their 18-yard box in the final third. Can we have that creativity? Can we have just the composure? Because I think a couple of times on Saturday when we're going to some great positions, I think back to Alioski's shot, that wasn't like a composure, I was just a bit unlucky, but there were certain times where you just think, right, kind of that cool calmness in front of goal. We've showed it majority of the season, so let's start showing it again now. Okay, these are the collated stats then from both Middlesbrough and Leeds United's last 5 games. So, you know, again, this kind of backs up what you've been discussing there. Obviously, Leeds, as we know, one of the highest sort of percentage rates in the division. But again, you know, even despite sort of recent results, pass success rate is high. You know, same amount of goals actually as Middlesbrough scored, but shots on target is markedly higher than Middlesbrough. So, you know, from that point of view, it's how that match kind of marries out, doesn't it? How that kind of transpires onto the pitch on Saturday, which makes it an interesting sort of contest in prospect. Yeah. I think any stats-wise, you put ours against any team in this division, we'll outnumber anybody. But like I say, the big one is we've all scored the same amount of goals, and yeah, it's all good getting 1-0s, but then when your 1-0s start turning to 1-1s, starting to 2-2s, then the results kind of go the way. That's where you start need to just, as a team, just get into them position a bit more and have the end product a little bit better. It might come from a cross, might come from a pass, might come from a shot, but mar all the 3 together. And because I say we've got the players, and the big thing is like we are top of the table, joint top of the table. Go up there full of confidence like a top of the table side should do. Here's Middlesbrough's recent results, and good results. I mean, you know, bar the cup defeat, of course, this midweek. This is the league stuff that they've been doing, and you can't really be too sort of picky about that. You know, good points at Derby, great win at West Brom. Probably will feel at home, you know, there maybe Millwall that they should have won, but you can't knock that form, can you? And I suppose Middlesbrough will feel if they can go on the run, they can definitely challenge the top 2. Do you consider them in the race for the top 2? I think obviously Saturday's a massive game for them. I think if they can get the 3 points, then they'll firmly believe they can easily get automatic promotion. But from our point of view, is the last 4 games they've conceded goals. So yeah, we've touched on about the home record, about they've been resolute, they've been rigid, they don't concede a lot. But the last 4 games, yeah, 3 of them are away from home there, but they've been conceding goals. So that should give us plenty of confidence going up there. No one can exploit that. And we look at Leeds' recent results, of course, and this never kind of makes fantastic reading, does it? The last 5 games for ourselves recently. But it's about getting some points on the board, obviously. And you do wonder whether a point is a good result at Middlesbrough, or given last week's defeat to Norwich, does it put more pressure on you having to get 3? How do you think the players will be feeling about it? I just want us to respond in a positive way, whether that's result-wise, performance-wise. I'd like both, not going to lie. But All that says is consistency. I think you go through blips throughout the season. It's so hard to keep that high level of consistency without having a blip. Is this our blip? Yeah, probably looking like might be like a little blip, but do I believe in this group of players, this group of staff? Of course I do. Why? Because they made us believe. That's the biggest thing. The results, the mental strength to come back has been different class. So I fully expect us to go up there and respond, have that bounce back ability that we've seen throughout this year in abundance, because we've got the ability to go do that. So the onus is on the players to go out and prove it again.
And got the ability away from home, Ben. Leeds have scored in every single away game this season, so you would fancy, the players will be confident they can go there and score 1, 2, 3 goals, and it's probably, is it more emphasis on how we defend and attack?
I think that sort of stat there of scoring every away game this season, players are aware of that stat. So you go up and you have that little spring in your step, you have that confidence. It's almost like, I know we're going to score today. So automatically you go into a game, in a big game, you think, yeah, we know we're going to score. So the onus is on the defensive part. I think, yeah, focus on your attack, because that's the strength of ours. But I think for this week, can we keep a clean sheet? If we keep a clean sheet, we'll win this game.
And depending on your age, this is either a Yorkshire derby or it's not, depending on how you look at it. But it is a game that I suppose has created a good atmosphere both at Ellen Road and at the Riverside. Leeds are going to have an incredible travelling support. There's going to be over 2,000 here at Ellen Road for the beanback of the game. So from that point of view, the atmosphere will take care of itself again. And you'd imagine that now to be the case for every single game. Home games are selling out. Every away match, teams, there's something riding on it for all these sides. So atmosphere and things like that now, they just take care of themselves, don't they?
Of course they do. And like I said, every game you play for this club is always a big game. Don't matter where you are in the table. But because we are in the top 2, obviously added pressure. But embrace the pressure. The pressure is when you're down at bottom, when you might get relegated, when you might lose your wage, you might not get a contract for next year. That's when you have pressure. When you play at the top of the table, have freedom, because we all play football to be watching games, be involved in games like this at the top end. It's exciting, so embrace the challenge.
Yeah, well, the players have certainly got to do that on Saturday. Join us on LU TV for all the build-up. If you live outside the UK and Ireland, you can watch the game with a match pass in the UK and Ireland and around the world as well. You can get audio commentary. The match passes are available at leedsunited.com. Tony Dorigo will be in the studio here at Ellen Road as well to look ahead to that game. So all our build-up gets underway at midday. Remember, 1 o'clock kickoff, because I had a friend of mine who, the last time we had a 12:30 kickoff, got it completely wrong and was out shopping while the game was going on. I had to race home to watch it. So don't miss it, 1 o'clock kickoff. Ben, thanks very much for joining us for the scouting report. And don't forget to check out all the build-up on the official Leeds United app and on the website leedsunited.com to a big game, Middlesbrough against Leeds United.